Okay, in this lesson we consider a group of primitives associated one way or another with schooling. Be sure to give your stories enough time to come to life in imagination because your images will need a lot more vividness than these brief plots allow for. You know that you are not giving enough time when you find yourself memorizing definitions rather than playing with images. Okay, I might be guilty of doing that already. Let's see what we can do about it. Okay, so lazy kanji, add, and yeah, doesn't copy it. First, primitive. Okay, schoolhouse. Here we see a little red schoolhouse with 3 dots on the roof. As you write it in the following frames, you should acquire a feel for the way the first two short strokes move left to right, and the third one right to left. Write it twice now, saying to yourself the first time as you write the first 3 strokes. In the schoolhouse, we learn our ABCs, and the second time in the schoolhouse, we write our 1, 2, 3s. In the schoolhouse, we write our ABC. In the schoolhouse, we write our 1, 2, 3s. Okay, this is primitive, not a kanji. Okay. Next is study. Study. The child in the little red schoolhouse is there for one reason only, to study. Anyone who has gone through the schooling system knows well enough that study is one thing and learning quite another game. In the kanji too, the character for learning has nothing to do with schoolhouse. Yeah. Study is and kid. Kid is there for studying. To study. Add. Hey, memorize. Memorize. The idea of memorizing things is easily related to schoolhouse, and since we have been at it for more than 100 pages in this book, the idea that memorizing involves seeing things that are not really there should make it easy to put the two elements together. Okay, memorize is schoolhouse seeing. Okay. Flourish. The botanical connotation of the word flourish, to bud, to burst into bloom, much as a tree does, are uh, part of the idea of the schoolhouse as well. Okay. Okay. Flourish, bloom like a tree, burst into buds. Yeah. to bud and burst into bloom, much as a tree does. Okay. Add. Brush. It's a primitive, not a kanji. Okay. The primitive element, not itself a kanji, is a pictograph of a writing brush. The first 3 strokes represent the hair at the tip of the brush, and the following 2 strokes, the thumb and the forefinger, that guide it when you write. Note how the long vertical stroke cutting through everything is drawn last. This is standard procedure when you have such a stroke running the length of a character. However, as we saw in the case of cow, when this primitive appears on top of another primitive, its tail is cut off, giving us, yeah, okay. So brush is okay, but if it's a top another primitive, it's doesn't, yeah, short. Okay, add. All right. Right. Right is the sage talks rapidly with his tongue, uh, wagging in his mouth, while the brush of the scribe runs apace to write down the master's words. Tongue wagging in the mouth. So to write, brush, brush, writing down what the sage talks. Tongue wagging in the mouth. Okay. Haven. Seeing the tiny boats of poor mortals tossed about in a stormy sea like so many corks, the All Merciful took its brush and drew little inlets of water, where where the hapless creatures might seek shelter. And so it is that we have havens. Wait, seeing the tiny boats of poor mortals tossed about in a stormy sea like so many corks, the All Merciful took its brush and drew little inlets of water where the hapless creatures might seek shelter. Hapless. Inlets of water, where, yeah. And so it is that we have havens. Okay. Havens are the inlets of water that the All Merciful drew with a brush for others to take haven for the sea. Boats take haven. Yeah. That's it. Okay. Taskmaster. First, find the long rod, the first stroke, held in the hand of someone seated. The next three strokes, not unlike the pictograph of a woman, but quite different from that walking legs introduced in lesson 13. The only thing left to do is to conjure up the memory of some taskmaster or taskmistress from your past, whom you will never forget. Okay, taskmaster. And this is a primitive and not a kanji. And this is a primitive. Okay. So walking legs are like this. Taskmaster is this, this, and this. Yeah. So this is the stick and someone seated and giving orders. Yeah. Breed. When it's time to breed new cattle, the bull is usually willing, but the cow is often not. Thus, the taskmaster to the right forces the cow into a compromising position, so to speak, so that she and her mate can breed. Okay. Cow taskmaster. Cow taskmaster. Taskmaster forces the cow into a position to breed. Okay. Aggression. Aggre ah, aggression. Yeah. The special craft of a successful um special craft of successful taskmasters is their ability to remain constantly on the aggressive, never allowing their underlings a moment to ponder a counter aggression. So, the craft of a taskmaster craft craft of a taskmaster is their ability to focus on aggression. To remain constantly on the aggressive. It's more like this. So craft with taskmaster. That's how it says it. It looks like the woman. Okay. Money taskmaster is failure. Failure. The taskmaster is acknowledging the failure of a clam to make the grade in some marine school or other. What? The taskmaster is acknowledging the failure of a clam to make the grade in some marine school or other. clam, taskmaster, clam, taskmaster, acknowledging the failure of the clam, making it into a marine school. That's failure. Sheet of. Sheet of. English counts thin, flat objects like bed linen and paper in sheets. The kanji does this with the taskmaster whipping a tree into producing sheets against its will. Okay. Sheet of is tree willed into producing sheets by a taskmaster against its will. Old taskmaster is happenstance. Happenstance. What's that? Happenstance. What's happenstance? Coincidence. Okay. Happenstance. Call it fate or providence, or plain old lady luck. Happenstance is the oldest taskmaster we know. It nearly always has its way. Okay. Happenstance is the oldest taskmaster. Oldest uh, taskmaster. Happenstance. Awe. Standing in awe of someone, you get self-conscious and may try to speak in flowery phrases out of veneration or fear. The taskmaster at the right is drilling you in the practice of your honorifics. This is the keigo part. Flowery phrases, taskmaster. Flowery phrases, taskmaster. That's all. Okay. Standing in awe of someone, you get self-conscious and may try to speak in flowery phrases out of veneration or fear. The taskmaster at the right is drilling you in the practice of your inner honorifics. Okay. Awe. So awe is flowery phrases and taskmaster drilling them in. Okay. Say. This is also primitive. Of all things we can do with our mouth, speech requires the greatest distinctness and clarity. Hence, the kanji for say has 4 little sound waves to show the complexity of the task. This kanji, which appears often as a primitive, can mean saying, speech, or words, depending on which is most useful. Okay. To say is mouth and sound waves. Add. Admonish. Can't see. Oh, admonish is all and to say. Have you here you have a perfect example of how an apparently impossible snarl of strokes becomes a snap to learn once you know its elements. The idea of being admonished by someone already sets up a superior inferior relationship between you and the person you are supposed to stand in awe of. While you are restricted to answering in honorifics, the superior can use straightforward and ordinary words. Admonish is like it's bad is bad, right? It's like don't do it. Yeah. Well, to indicate duties or obligations too. Yeah, to express warning or disapproval, to especially in gentle earnest. Okay. To give friendly, earnest advice. Okay. Admonish them to be careful. Or admonish for being late. Okay. Okay. So admonish is awe. And words. Okay. Plot. Words and a meter's needle combine to form the sense of a plot, to talk over plans and calculate a course of action. Course of action. Talk over plans and calculate a course of action. Ah, meter's needle. What's meter's needle? Ah, okay. Okay, so plot is words, meter's needle. Talk over uh plans and calculate course of action. Okay. Okay. Elucidate. Elucidate. Okay. Think of elucidating as presenting something in whole words as distinct from broken fragmented sentences. Elucidate is to to explain. Yeah, make something clear or explain. Yeah. So elucidate is to speak in whole words, make something clear. Speak in whole words. Ah. Okay. Prison. Pack of wild dogs talk chihuahua. Words chihuahua. Although we did not make note of it at the time, the kanji for dog is also a low-grade term for a spy. And later, frame 15 or 17, we will meet another association of criminals with dogs. The prison here depicts a pack of wild dogs. The long timers and hardened criminals into which the poor little chihuahuas, first offenders, has been cast. The only thing he has to protect the poor little chihuahua has been cast. The only thing he has to protect himself against the pack are his shrills and frightening words. Okay. So this is prison. Pack of wild dogs, hardened criminals, and little chihuahua has only words to fend for himself. Okay. This is prison. Revise. Nail. Mouth. Words and nail. After completing the first draft, you revise it by nailing down words and hammering them into shape. Okay. Revise. Yeah. After completing first draft, you revise it by nailing down words and hammering them into shape. Okay. Obituary. Obituary. The words of this obituary work like magic wand, conjuring up the deceased. Okay. Words of obituary work like a magic wand, conjuring up the deceased. Okay. Chastise. Yeah. Words spoken to chastise us stick to us like glue in a way no other words can. Chastise. Yeah. Words spoken to chastise us stick to us like glue, like no other words can. Instruction. The personalism connoted by the word instruction as opposed to teaching or discipline suits the picture here of words guiding one's progress like gentle flowing of a stream. Even the etymology of the word instruction suggests the sense of pouring into. Okay, so words of instruction guiding like the flow of stream. instruction. Imperial edict. The imperial edict, spoken with the force of unquestionable law, is made up of words intended to seduce the masses, be it through fear or respect, to follow obediently. Okay. Imperial edict, words of an imperial edict intended to seduce the masses by fear or respect. Okay, pact. A piece of writing that is a piece of writing that is pregnant with meaning and needs to be retreated several times to be understood. We refer to colloquially as pact. A character sees the words as sealed tightly inside an aerosol can. Okay, packed words carrying a lot of needed and need unpacking are like words in an aerosol can. Aerosol can. Okay. Tail. Tail. That the words of the tongue should come to mean a tale is clear from the etymology. A tale is something talked, not something read from a book. Yeah. The words of a tale, etymology. Something talked, not read from a book. Recitation. Listening to the words of poets reciting their poetry is like being transposed for a moment into eternity, where the rules of everyday life have been suspended. Okay. Recitation. Listening to the words of poet is like being transformed to eternity, where the rules of life have been suspended. Poem. Since silence is treasured so highly at a Buddhist temple, the words spoken there must be well chosen. Perhaps this is why the records of monks often read to us like poems. Before going on, back up a frame and make sure you have kept poem and recitation distinct in your mind. Yeah. Poem. Poem is words said in a Buddhist temple. Well chosen. Silence is a virtue. Okay. Word. Whereas the character for say focused on the actual talking, the kanji for words stresses the fact that although it is I who say them, the words of a language are not my own. You can see clear distinction between I and words just by looking at the kanji. Word. Words of a language are not my own. Okay. Add. Then we have read. Okay. In the age of advertising, most words we read are out to sell some product or point of view. Okay. To read is our words to sell a product or point of view in the age of advertisement. Add. Tune. Complete tune is composed not only of a succession of notes, but also of one lap of the words that go with it. Okay. Tune. Tune is not only of the succession of notes, but also of the words, a lap of words that go with it. That's tune. Discuss. Inflammation. Discuss. Heated discussion. In almost every attempt to discuss an issue, the fervor of one's convictions come to the surface and create an inflammation of words. If you will, they cuss and discuss. So discussion is heated words, inflammation, heated discussion, conviction of one's own come over word. Inflammation of words, yeah. Putting the cuss in discuss. Consent is talk right. Yeah, or words right. Consent. The words of the young do not have legal validity unless backed up by parental consent. Okay. Young. Oh, this is young. That's right. Yeah. Consent. The word of the young don't have are not valid unless they carry parental consent. Okay. Rebuke. It's the butchers. Yeah, meeting of butchers. Rebuke. The stern tone of a rebuke is seen here in the image of words spoken at a meeting of butchers, waving their choppers at one another and cutting one another down, as only butchers can. Rebuke is like to Okay, this is the end of lesson 16. Let's do lesson 15. Sorry, let's do the practice. Okay, close this and start the study. Check. Okay, let's start the study. Discard. Okay. Study now. Word. That's the easiest part. Okay. The words I say are not mine. Are part of the language, are not mine. Yeah. Okay. Elucidate. Elucidate is to speak in whole words as to make clear instead of broken. Whole. Yeah. A sheet of. A sheet of is a tree. Sheet of is a tree willed to produce sheets by a taskmaster. Okay. Awe is the flowery language, flowery phrases a taskmaster instills in us or drills in us in awe to speak when we are in awe. Okay. Consent. It's the words of the young. Does not carry validity without parental consent. Haven. That's the all merciful brushing inlets of water with his mighty brush as a for haven for the boats in the sea, the wild sea. Yeah. Chastise. Chastise. The words sent in to chastise us are glued together to us more than any other words. Tale. It's words that are spoken with a tongue, not read. Schoolhouse primitive. In a schoolhouse, we learn ABCs. Plot. Plot is the words of plans, talk of plans, and calculated course of action. Needle, meter, needle. Admonish. That's in all. You in all. And the other superior speaks regular words. Brush, primitive. Say. It's sound wave out of the mouth. Memorize. That's school, house, and see. Packed. That's words packed with meaning, like an aerosol, like as if they are packed in an aerosol can. Revise. Words once were done with the draft We're ready to nail down the words and and uh, hammer down the draft. Discuss. Putting the cuss in discuss means words, inflammation of words. Happenstance is the old time master. Old time master. Taskmaster. The old taskmaster. The oldest taskmaster. Yeah. Study. That's the kid in the schoolhouse is there only for one thing, and that is to study. Obituary. That's words having magic, working like magic, reviving the deceased. Magic wand. Failure. That's the taskmaster admit or acknowledging the failure of a clam joining a marine school. Okay. Rebuke. That's the meeting. That's the words of a meeting of butchers where they rebuke each other and cut each other off. Okay, aggression. That's taskmasters. Taskmasters focus on is it glued? Glue taskmaster? I don't think so. No. Taskmasters. Aggression, aggressive taskmaster. They don't allow the yeah. Taskmaster aggression. They don't allow their underlings uh focus on I can't remember. Shall I answer? Craft. Oh, that's the craft. Okay, again. Hmm. The craft of Taskmaster. Okay. Okay, tune is not just the notes, but also a lap of words that go with them. Not the succession of notes, but also the words that go with them. Taskmaster is yeah. Prison. Prison is a pack of wild dogs. And the poor Chihuahua only has its words to defend itself. Instruction. Instructions are like the words, the guidance of the gentle stream. Yeah. Recitation is the words they recite transforms you to eternal world where rules of current life don't. are suspended. Yeah. Aggression is the craft of taskmasters. Yeah. They don't allow their underlings to counter-aggress. Home. Home is the words chosen, spoken in Buddhist temples where silence is a virtue, so words have to be well chosen. Write is with a brush. We write with a brush what the sage says with tongues in mouth, tongue wagging mouth. Okay, breed. Breed is the unwilling cow. The taskmaster wills it to be in position for breed. Flourish. Flourish is like a tree in a schoolhouse, flourishing. Imperial edict. That's word seducing the masses with respect or fear. Breed. That's most of the word in the current day and age are basically selling a point of view or a product. Word. Let's renew. So word is my words. The words I say do not belong to me. They are the language words. Consent. Words of the young are not valid. Are not valid without parental consent. Sheet of. The unwilling tree willed to produce sheets by a taskmaster. Tale. That's words spoken with a tongue, not read. Elucidate. That's speaking in whole words as to be clear, in opposed to broken words. Okay. Haven. That's the water inlets that All Merciful created for the boats in the wild sea to take haven in. Awe. That's the flowery language. That's when we start speaking with flowery language instilled in us by a taskmaster. Chastise. The words said to us to chastise us are glued to us like no other words. Admonish. That's when you have to speak in flowery language in honor fix while the other doesn't have to. Yeah. Memorize. That's schoolhouse. To see. Plot. Plans to talk over plans and calculate course of action. Meters needle. Yeah. Schoolhouse primitive. Schoolhouse, we learn our ABC. Say. Mouth and sound wave. Brush primitive. The hairs of the brush and index and a thumb. Revise. When we're done with the draft, we nail down our words and hammer it into the time of the draft. Okay. Happenstance. Happenstance is the old time master. Taskmaster, not time master, old taskmaster. Packed. Words can be packed with meaning as if they were coming out of aerosol can. Packed aerosol can. Rebuke, that's the words said in a meetings of butchers. They cut each other off. Obituary, words have magic that revives the deceased like a magic wand. Failure, that's the taskmaster acknowledging the failure of the clan in joining a marine school or another. Study, that's the kid in a schoolhouse. Discuss, putting the cuss in discuss. That's words, becoming inflammation of words. Prison, that's a pack of wild dogs, hardened criminals. And the Chihuahua has only its words to fend for itself. Recitation, when words transform you to an eternal world where rules of life are suspended. Poem, words well chosen in Buddhist temple where silence is a virtue. Instruction, words of instructions guides or provide guidance like a gentle flow of stream. Okay. Taskmaster. Tune. The tune doesn't just have succession of notes, but also the words, a lap of words that go with it. Write. That's the brush writing what the sage wagging his tongue in his mouth saying. Aggression, that's the craft of taskmasters. They're on top of their craft. They don't allow their underlings a breath to counter aggress. Flourish like a tree in a schoolhouse. Breed, that's the unwilling cow. Willed to be in the breeding position by the taskmaster. Imperial edict, that's the words made to seduce the masses, either by fear or by respect. Read. In this day and age, words are there to sell you either a product or a point of view. All right, and done. We are done. Okay. Study now. So this is poem. Memorize. Say. Read. Instruction. Discuss. Tune. Obituary. Word. Schoolhouse primitive. Imperial edict. Recitation. Flourish. Brush primitive. Failure. Prison. A sheet of. Awe. Admonish. Consent. Right. Plan. Plot. Hammer down. Nail. What? Words. Revise. Yeah. Read. Study. Happenstance. Taskmaster primitive. Chastise. Haven. Elucidate. Tail. Aggression. Rebuke. Pact. Guidance. Wait. Instruction. This is poem. Say. Memorize. Word. Discuss. Plot. Tune. Obituary. Schoolhouse. A sheet of. Consent. Revise. Imperial edict. Haven. Brush. Brush primitive. Prison. Awe. Read. Study. Write. Recitation. Read. Tail. Failure. Elucidate. Pact. Flourish. Admonish. Chastise. Old taskmaster is happenstance. Aggression. Rebuke. Taskmaster primitive. Okay. Is there words? Do we have a word for guidance? We do have a word for guidance. What is guidance? I remember, guys. I'm not looking. Switch. It's wait. Guidance. We glue ourselves to somebody's way of doing things, right? So it's uh, way and glue. Yes. Okay. All right. Let's upload. So today we added how many words? How many? Let's see stats. Today we added the number of new cards you have added. Where did I add them? I added them here. Stats. Yeah. Added. Yeah, 100 cards, but yeah. I need to continue, keep adding with this rate. 140 cards. Okay. Okay. So that's about it. And thank you. That's the end of lesson 50. What about 16? I can do 16 and 17 tomorrow. Yeah. 16 and 17 tomorrow. These are these are 377 till 395. So it's a little less than yeah. So this is 19. Lesson 17 is 396 till 422 is 22 plus 6, 7, 8, 9, and 100 plus 5. So 27. Yeah. So yeah, tomorrow is good for another 50. Tomorrow is another 50 for sure. And then 18 is 100 something. 423 till 5 1 something. Yeah, 5 like 90. Okay, that's about it. Stop stream.